The story begins with a man named Gulliver, who appears content with his routine life working at a company. During an interview, he casually questions a nervous young applicant, eventually hiring him. Gulliver then gives the new employee a tour of the office, introducing him to a co-worker named Darcy. The new hire quickly notices Gulliver's shyness around Darcy, sensing his unspoken feelings for her. Later, as Gulliver and the new employee step into an elevator, Darcy enters, prompting the new hire to excuse himself, leaving the two alone. Though they exchange awkward small talk, Gulliver struggles to express his true feelings. The next day, the newly hired employee, now promoted to a higher position, confronts Gulliver in the office. He bluntly explains that Gulliver's timid personality has held him back both professionally and romantically. Shaken by this criticism, Gulliver visits Darcy's desk, where he impulsively claims to be an avid traveler. When Darcy encourages him to write about his adventures, he panics, realizing he has never left the city. Desperate to impress her, he copies travel stories from online articles, passing them off as his own. Delighted, Darcy suggests he visit the mysterious Bermuda Triangle to gather more material. Eager to prove himself, Gulliver books a trip to the Bermuda Triangle. A boat captain hands him a navigation device, instructing him to follow a red path on the screen and press a button to return home. Overconfident, Gulliver dismisses the instructions and sets sail. During the journey, he falls asleep, and his boat is swept into a violent storm. He awakens to find himself stranded on a strange shore, his body pinned down by hundreds of tiny people, the Lilliputians. They tie him with ropes, fearing he is a monstrous threat. Their army general interrogates him, but Gulliver insists he means no harm. Dragged before the Lilliputian king, Gulliver pleads his case but is imprisoned. There, he meets Horatio, another prisoner who reveals he was jailed for loving the princess, angering her fiancé, the general. When the general later parades Gulliver through the streets on a cart, a rival kingdom attacks, setting the palace ablaze and attempting to kidnap the princess. Gulliver breaks free, rescuing her and extinguishing the fire with his sighs. Though hailed as a hero, he remains trapped in this miniature world, grappling with the consequences of his lies and the challenges of earning trust in a land where he is both feared and needed. The crowd panics, running in chaos as flames engulf the palace. Gulliver shouts, "Stay calm, there's no need to panic, I'll handle this." He leans down and blows forcefully, extinguishing the fire. Water splashes onto the general, soaking him completely. Humiliated, the general storms away. The king, impressed, invites Gulliver to a celebratory feast. Gulliver agrees but demands, "Release Horatio first." The king reluctantly agrees, freeing Horatio from prison. At the feast, Gulliver sits with the king, nobles, and Horatio. The king asks curiously, "Did you arrive here by river?" Gulliver replies, "No, I'm from New York." Misunderstanding, the crowd gasps, believing him to be the president of New York. Seizing the moment, Gulliver spins wild tales, boasting, "I saved New York from disasters. I'm their mighty leader." The king, convinced, promises to search for Gulliver's missing boat and builds him a large hut to live comfortably. Later, Gulliver advises Horatio on how to win the princess's affection. He tells Horatio to act playful and silly, mimicking his own exaggerated confidence. Surprisingly, the princess finds Horatio's awkward charm endearing, growing fond of him. That night, Gulliver sneaks to the shore, where the general has hidden his boat. Inside, he finds his cell phone and plays a voicemail from Darcy. "I'm coming to visit you soon, I can't wait to hear about your travels." Before he can react, alarms sound, the rival kingdom attacks again. Horatio rushes to Gulliver, announcing, "The king has named you our new general. You must lead us." Gulliver reluctantly confronts the invaders, shouting, "Leave now, or face me." The enemies laugh, hurling stones that bounce harmlessly off Gulliver. He wades into the sea, drags their warships to shore, and crushes them, forcing the attackers to retreat. The kingdom cheers, crowning Gulliver a hero. The princess, moved by Horatio's bravery, publicly rejects the jealous general. Enraged, the general allies with the rival king. He steals a magazine from Gulliver's boat containing blueprints for building a giant robot. Days later, the general returns, piloting a clanking metal robot, and challenges Gulliver. "You'll regret humiliating me," the general roars. The robot grabs Gulliver, hurling him into the air. Terrified, Gulliver scrambles to escape, but the machine overpowers him, slamming him to the ground. The crowd gasps as Gulliver admits his lies, his voice trembling. "Everything I said about being a hero was fake," he confesses, hanging his head. The general, smirking, orders guards to tie Gulliver with ropes and drag him away. Gulliver wakes up later, dizzy and disoriented, believing he has returned home. Instead, he finds himself in a strange, towering forest, but the trees are actually legs of gigantic people. A curious child, hundreds of feet tall, picks him up, squealing, "A new toy!" Gulliver squirms in the child's grip, terrified, until a familiar voice calls out. Horatio, now tiny again, waves from the child's pocket. "Darcy came looking for you," he whispers urgently. "The general trapped her and the king in a dungeon. You're the only one who can save them." That night, Gulliver sneaks into the dungeon, using his small size to slip through cracks. He finds Darcy and the king locked in a cage. "I'm so sorry I lied," he tells Darcy, fumbling with the lock. She sighs but nods, her eyes softening. Before they can escape, the general's roar echoes through the halls. "Traitors!" He activates the giant robot, its metal fists slamming into the ground. Gulliver, though shaking, stands in its path. The robot grabs him, hurling him against a wall. Horatio leaps onto the machine's back, tearing wires loose with his teeth. Sparks fly, and the robot staggers. Gulliver seizes the moment, climbing its arm and ripping out a glowing power core. The robot collapses, and the crowd erupts in cheers. The king, grateful, announces Horatio and the princess's wedding. Tears fill Horatio's eyes as the princess kisses his cheek. Darcy turns to Gulliver, smiling. "You're still a mess," she says, "but you tried to make things right." Suddenly, the general lunges for the princess, dagger in hand. She spins, kicking him hard in the chest. He stumbles back, tripping over rubble, and falls unconscious. The princess brushes off her dress, grinning at Horatio. As the celebration begins, Darcy walks to Gulliver, who stares at his feet. "You didn't need fake stories to impress me," she says gently. Gulliver looks up, hopeful, as she takes his hand. The camera pans to the horizon, where the first rays of sunrise glow over the kingdom, ending the tale with a quiet promise of redemption.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more amazing content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.